Hello, I'm Carolyn Banner, Body by Banner, and welcome to day one of Control Your Cravings course. It's going to be a 5-day crash course to help you tame unruly cravings and emotional eating or stress eating behaviors. I'm super excited to share this training with you over the 5 days that are coming. So Monday through Friday, we'll be on here live at 12 noon. So I hope you can join us, and today we're going to be covering just the basics. What are cravings, what trigger them, and what we can do about them. I want to try and break these patterns, move beyond awareness and into action so we can actually start to implement some tools to break the patterns, not just know what to do, but actually start to do it. So if you're jumping on, please, I'd love to know, I know all the other ladies love to kind of know where people are listening and watching in from, because we have ladies that watch in from all over the world, and I know that's really fun to kind of know where people are listening in from. So just type in where you're watching in from, and if you're watching this later, because I know we have some people in Australia and Asia that can't join in live because it's super late in their time zones. So if you're watching this later from the email I send out to you, that if you're one of the participants on my email list, please just email me. I love to hear from you guys and stay connected with you through email or send me a private message on Facebook. So if you're not already on the list, I would encourage you to join. Of course, these live trainings are for everyone. They're public on the Body by Banner page, but if you want the bonus material, if you want the recording sent out, and you want some additional support material that I'm going to be sending just to people that I have their email access to, please make sure that you add it below. I'm actually going to put it in the comments right now before I forget. Forgot to do that when I in the title. Hold on just one second. And that way you can add your, it literally takes 1 minute. You add your name and email, and you will get all the access to that material. Hey, Juanita, listening in from Milwaukee. Yeah, so just put in where you're listening in from, watching in from, and I know it's fun for people to kind of know that. It's just fun to see who you're watching with and be part of a community. Even though you're just seeing me, you guys are all watching in from all over the world, and I think that's amazing. And one other thing, just housekeeping really quick, let me know in the comments too if you have any questions, because I want to get to them. I might get to them to the end, but please put them in if you have any questions of what I'm talking about, or about cravings and emotional eating and stress eating in general. Please put those in the comments as well. Again, I might not be able to get to them right away, but I want to make sure that we cover them. If not at the end of the time today, I'll make sure to get to it tomorrow. We've got 5 days together, so I don't want to rush this information. I want to make sure we kind of dive in a little bit deeper than I normally do on these Facebook Lives. Hey, Becky. So thanks for you guys that are joining in live. It's super fun to have you on here. And we're going to get started. I want to, again, just welcome you. This is Control Your Cravings course, and we're going to be going over today what are cravings, what can trigger them, and some tools that I'm going to be sending out to the list with a specific instructions, guide into how to do an exercise that'll take about 15 to 30 minutes, no more, a little bit of homework, but that's important, I think, because I want to break down the work of making these changes over time. Like, it's hard to just completely 180 and have it be a lasting change. So I want these to be lasting changes for you guys. And I think the best way to do that is to break it down a little bit each day. Have a little bit of work that we do each day and build on that. So we build a little bit every day. So I will be sending you a little bit of homework, either a cheat sheet or a video to watch or a meditation to do or a yoga class. We'll be doing a little bit different theme every day. So just to give you an overview, we're going to be doing today kind of the whats and whys, and just getting started to start to let go of those triggers that we have around our cravings. And then tomorrow we're going to go specifically into more of the nutrition and the physiological kind of impact of food and tips to help use our food to minimize our cravings. Then on Wednesday, we're going to dive into exercise, how exercise can impact our cravings, and then again, tools and some tips so we can maybe be more strategic and smart with our exercise to, again, mediate those cravings and not make them worse. And then Thursday, we're going to go into sleep and stress and how those impact, and then how to maybe switch some things up so that we can minimize our cravings. And then the last day, we're going to dive into my own tool that I've really been using to really see big changes. And that's the apt response. And I'm going to break that down, but basically it's going to be acknowledging the pattern. It's not just your pattern, but the pattern that many of us face, and to feel that connection, that it's not just you in it alone, but to acknowledge, to pause, and then to connect to a tribe. So T is tribe. And to connecting to a tribe for support, and to, again, not feel like you're in this alone, but to get that feeling of connection for ongoing support as you make these changes. So that's a breakdown of what we're going to be doing over the next 5 days. And today I want to kind of start, though, with a little bit of my story for some background as to why I'm even talking about this. Why do we want to even dive into controlling your cravings? And the reason why I picked this topic was because I hear about it a lot. First of all, I've struggled with it a lot over many years and have found relief in the last probably 5 to 6 years, and want to share those tools with you, as well as because I hear from women a lot. My clients, friends, family members, that like stress eating, emotional eating from maybe not like having unknowns with your family or your health, or with not having enough sleep, all these things can really, really trigger some persistent thoughts around food that feel really burdensome, that feel like a weight on your shoulders. And we already have enough weight on our shoulders as women in our roles as moms, as working women, as caretakers, as just living our lives in this busy world. So I want to help relieve some of that burden, because I felt like it was a huge burden on me to have these really persistent cravings that were distracting. It just was like time and energy from other things that I really wanted to be doing. And if you can relate to that, can you just give me a like, or put in the comments like, amen, sister? Just like, if that's something you can relate to, I want to know, because I feel like it's not just me out there that's feeling this way, that having these really deep cravings for sweet, salty, wine, whatever it is, coffee, it can feel like a burden to bear that, right? To feel like it's taking up a lot of our time and energy, and we got a lot better things to do. And we, as women, we're powerful creatures. We can do a lot in this world, and I want to help us move past feeling that burden and consumption of time and energy with cravings and distraction from food, and help streamline it and feel relief, so that we can really go out and make magic in the world. And by magic, I mean do our work, do what we're called here to do, and what we're passionate about, whether that's as a mom, whether it's in our work, whether it's in other relationships, as friendships, in community, in volunteering, whatever it is. Like, wow, like we have an opportunity to rise above just the chatter in our mind that's distracting us, to really give back and to really show up big in this world. And I think that's a huge gift and honor that we have as humans. But we can sometimes miss that calling when we're kind of stuck in the chatter. That's the monkey mind. All right, let me grab a sip of water. Again, put questions in if you have them. And so my little story, my background was that I really felt the most burden from cravings, from emotional eating in college, is when it really, really, really flared up for me. College and then beyond, when I was doing my internship, my dietetic internship in New Haven, and then my early years of living in Chicago on my own, starting my first professional job, from like 19 years old on to, and then it popped up actually in high school some, but really flared up in college, and probably until I was about 25, even later 20s. It wasn't really until I became a mom that I started to feel like I confronted them really, really clearly, because I was like, I just don't have time for this. I am raising a human now. I don't want to pass on behaviors to him. I don't have time. I wanted to build my business and be a really, really present mom. And I felt like I wasn't able to do that when I was so distracted by my thoughts about food. And in college, it was so distracting, and actually I realized getting kind of dangerous, because I was falling into patterns of binging and restricting. And my kind of aha moment of like, or come to Jesus moment, was when, as a dietetics student, I was learning about eating disorders. And it was my junior year, and we were doing a course on disordered eating, and learning about the psychological, I forget, like the DSM classifications for psychological or eating disorders that are psychiatrically diagnosed, and that's bulimia, anorexia, and then there was one that was kind of on the spectrum of like disordered eating, and I was learning about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I have a lot of these characteristics. This is not far off from describing me. And that was really hard to hear or to read and to be learning about in class, and to realize, like, having this awareness moment of, oh my God, like this is me, or I could be one of these people that becomes bulimic, or I'm on that path of, I was sneaking food. I would over exercise to compensate. I would be walking a ton, biking a ton, running, doing workouts in my room, literally like hours a day of exercise. I would be like not sneaking food, but like being tempted, and then going down to the vending machine in our residence hall, and like getting snacks late at night, like like Little Debbie snacks or whatever, because I really was craving sweets. I had been maybe restricting all day, but exercising a ton, and then like overdoing at night. So this is hard for me to share. It's like I haven't really shared much of this story with many people. But I also, from talking to other women, I think it's not far off from what other women have experienced, in varying degrees and in different moments maybe of their life. But what really stood out to me was, like, I had this awareness of what was happening, and that I had triggers for these intense cravings that felt uncontrollable, but I didn't really know what to do with them. I knew that they were connected to emotional, like feeling stressed about school, maybe feeling lonely, disconnected, wanting a boyfriend, and feeling like unwanted or unworthy in a weird way, like just feeling like displaced, not in my, like, not really being able to truly be who I was and be really confident in that, and feeling at home in myself. And so I knew that this was happening, and I was concerned about it. So I went to go talk to our counselor in the college guidance counselor, and we talked about it. And what really came out was that this was something that had come up for me when really started when I was younger, but was popping up because of stress, because of emotional reasons, and those were triggering it. And what he and I were talking about was like, wow, this has actually been a pattern for me. And I think for many people, but for my particular unique pattern, was starting when I was about 10. And that really, what triggered it was when I was going through a growth spurt, but also in the middle of a family crisis with my brother getting acute lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL. And he survived it and has done really well, and he's still thriving, but that was a really traumatic experience. I didn't know if my brother was going to survive. And during that time, I really started sneaking a lot of food. I felt lonely, I felt scared, and I went to food for comfort. And so, those triggers had been kind of embedded in me from a young age, that food equals comfort. And there had been other patterns in my family of like food being reward too, like with going to get donuts after our workouts at the Y. But for me, with stress or feeling like scared, feeling unsure, thanks for the love, because it's hard to talk about this stuff, was just that it felt to me like a way of comforting myself. And I know that other women feel the same way, and that it's not just me that's in this. And if you feel that way, and you have an inkling, or you already know exactly, you have a deep awareness. So no matter where you are on the spectrum, I want you to understand that, first of all, it's important to get that awareness, to kind of make those connections between, like, okay, this triggers this, like X triggers Y, or whatever, you want to have that awareness piece. So if you haven't created that awareness yet for yourself, that's one of the first goals that I have for you guys. The second goal is to take that awareness and actually have some tools to move beyond it, to not just be stuck in like knowing about it and that it's a problem, but to feel like you have some ways to move beyond it. So one of the tools that was helpful for me and a stepping stone to moving past my uncontrollable cravings was kind of cluing in about the physiological connections of my hormones, and learning about a tool that a lot of my clients know about, which is keeping your HEC in check. And that's your hunger, energy, and cravings in check. So like managing your hunger, energy, and cravings so that they're not kind of out of control. And that was a really good starting point, because it created more awareness around the physical triggers, of maybe not getting enough protein, not drinking enough water, maybe not having enough fiber, or eating enough vegetables. That really got my nutritional foundation, my stomach satisfied, and helped with managing those physiological responses. But it didn't really deal at all with the emotional side of it. And this is a tool from Metabolic Effect, and I think, and I really applaud them, and I am forever grateful for them. To Dr. JT was when he created it, and but they're designed by men, and that's totally fine. But I think as women, we are more prone, it seems like from my experience personally, and from working with thousands of women, that there's a huge emotional component to it, that are those emotional triggers and stress triggers that aren't included in that. And so I want to include those because I think that they're the missing piece of moving from awareness to actual change. And so that's what I want to kind of dig in with today. And we're going to go now into like the distinction between physical hunger, so kind of like dealing with that heck and check, and emotional cravings. And what are the difference between those two? And then your homework, what I'm going to be sending you guys that are on the Control Your Cravings course, will be a cheat sheet, including those kind of differentiations between the physical hunger and emotional cravings, as well as specific questions to journal through, and an exercise for you to release the weight of these emotional triggers that have been maybe really been a big distraction and weight on your life. Okay, another sip of water. I've been sharing a lot of personal stuff. I feel like I'm getting all dried up. Or like a little choked up. Holding it together though. All right, how are you guys? You guys with me? How are you doing? Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. And we're gonna dive in now. So we kind of went over my story, and maybe you can really relate to some parts of that, maybe not specifically, but you have your own story that's maybe a little similar, and I would love to hear. If you feel comfortable sharing, shoot me an email. I know you're not gonna share them probably on social media, but shoot me an email. If you have a specific story you feel like it would feel like a relief just to offer that up and release it, either you feel free to share it with me confidentially, or what you're going to do in the exercise for your homework tonight will be to write that down and release it by burning it. All right. Difference between physical hunger and emotional cravings. I think this is helpful, again, as an awareness tool, but to start to break it down so that you can start to see where we can dig in a bit more with the emotional side of it to really get rid of those triggers for our stress cravings. Okay, so physical hunger, the difference between that, because sometimes that's a question I get a lot of, and I wanted to make sure we cover that, was what's the difference between hunger and cravings? And hunger is a physical stomach feeling. It's something below the neck, so it's actually a physical need for food. And cravings are an emotional, above the neck, like a persistent thought for food, where you just can't get it out of your mind, keep thinking about it, keep coming back to it, and it can be really sudden. Physical hunger, this is physical hunger over here. This is emotional cravings. So physical hunger is gradual, kind of builds, usually comes on about 3 hours or more after having a meal, whereas cravings can be really sudden and can happen randomly, and oftentimes even after you've had a full meal. So, right, like a really common craving is after a meal, like say dinner. For me, it's really common for me to have a craving for something sweet. Even though I just had a full meal and I might be really physically satisfied, I'm not emotionally satisfied. And sometimes you guys maybe have heard me talk about satisfaction score of a meal, and that we want to not just do the physical satisfaction, but we also want to do the emotional, like kind of like soul satisfaction of a meal. And that kind of brings in to help curb those emotional or stress cravings. So yeah, like physical is below the neck, stomach related. Emotional cravings are above the neck, more in the head, persistent thoughts. One thing you can kind of help differentiate if you're not sure if it's hunger or cravings is if you drink a full glass of water, physical hunger will be the opposite, whereas emotional cravings will persist. They're like persistent buggers. They just keep pushing. And you gotta give them some credit, right? So emotional cravings, and I wanna go into that in a second, but they're persistent like thoughts, even after you've had a full glass of water. So that's a good way to kind of know if you're not sure. And physical hunger will go away after you've eaten food. So when you feel full, your hunger is going to go away. Whereas with emotional cravings, they're going to persist even after you've had food, even sometimes a lot of food. You might still be in that trance, kind of numbing out, like just not even thinking kind of state. And like I said, physical hungers will be satisfied with food, so you're going to get that stomach satisfaction, whereas emotional cravings are not going to be satisfied with food. You're going to feel guilt after eating the food, oftentimes, like that shame or the guilt that you've overdone it. With physical hunger, you're going to actually increase your taste. Your food is going to taste even better when you're physically hungry. But with emotional cravings, it's not going to taste any better. It's just going to be like, and to understand this a bit better is like the 1 bite rule you might have heard of, or the first bite rule, where with that first bite just tastes like amazing. So you're going to have like a piece of chocolate cake or a bite of a donut, which I love. So you have that first bite and it's just like, oh my God, yes, like this is so good. It tastes so yummy. And then, like after you eat a bit of it, it maybe doesn't taste as good. So you want, if you're really physically hungry and it's still like tasting as good as that first bite, that's a sign that you're actually hungry and like you're eating it out of hunger. If it starts to just be like, not as good as that first bite, if it's no longer tasting as good as that first bite, or it's just like, wow, in your mouth, then that's a sign that you're maybe eating out of emotional craving and out of stress. What other? Physical hunger can be suppressed with stress, where you actually don't want to eat as much and you just like aren't hungry. Whereas with emotional cravings actually can be activated by stress, where you're going to want to eat more. So that's another way to kind of know that you have these tools of maybe drinking water, kind of paying attention if it's activated by stress or suppressed by stress. And you kind of know which one you're dealing with a bit more. So again, I'll be sending these out in the cheat sheet to those on the Control Your Cravings list. And one other thing I want to just mention is that with my own story too, a couple of things. One about that persistence. I want to get to that, but also this numbing out of when you're in maybe a binge kind of state, or just sort of standing at the cabinet or the counter and eating ice cream out of the carton, or eating out of the chips directly out of the chip bag and not forcing out something, and you're just kind of like just numbing out. That's a sign maybe perhaps that, again, it's out of emotional cravings and stress, where your body is like so on overdrive or maybe so overly tired, and that sleep and stress is way off whack, that your body's just like asking for a shut off. It's like that. It's sort of like when you power down a computer, it's like it's like pushing you over the edge so that you have to physically, like, you're just so like you get so full from the food that it like powers you down, because it's just like too much and you like physically can't like move. You just like have to go like lie down on the couch or zone out. And it's like we've disregarded so many like maybe clues along the way that our body's telling us like, hey, slow down, get more rest, you're stressed out, and we've missed those clues along the way, and it's our body's like finally like, stop, just you need to power down. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, where that overdoing it, when your cravings are out of control and you're just overeating and you power down literally with food, because it's just like all those usually carbs, and usually like even if it's sweets or salty that you crave, usually they're oftentimes carb and fat based. And when we get so much of those, it's just like your body's just like the hormones that release just like and the energy is gonna like just drops down, so that we like literally like subdue that stress and have to like rest. That's one thing. So just again, awareness, and to know that, so that we can be maybe a little bit more vigilant of picking up on some of those clues beforehand, so that we can really honor our body and give her what it needs before we get into that like power down mode where your body's just like, I can't take it anymore. Another thing too is just about how those emotional cravings are really persistent. Like even after you drink water or after you've eaten food, like they're still persistent. I think that's a really important thing, and that's actually a gift. And it doesn't, you're like, what? Why is this persistent like difficulty a gift? And it's just like, I think anger, or how with PMS, it's like a roadmap. Like when we are really emotional before our periods, or when we have anger, like if we really pay attention to it, they're like clues, or like a map to something that needs to be addressed, something that's coming up maybe over and over again that is asking for our attention. Can anyone kind of relate to that? Like, have you ever like stepped away, like when you get angry, or when you're having your period, or about to have your period, and you're like super PMSy, and you're just like triggered by stuff, and you just kind of have a moment of awareness, and you're just like, okay, this is a clue. Like, this is more than just me being crazy woman or irrational. It's actually like a gift of intuition that, okay, there's something that needs to be really honed in on here, and it's a gift. If we take advantage of that information, that download, and can be like, okay, what can I do with this? This is something that my heart, my soul, my body is giving me this information, these clues that I need to work on this, that there's something that needs a bit of my attention and some TLC. All right, just want to check that I'm still connected. So you guys can hear me? I feel like sometimes when I'm doing this on my computer, I don't get the comments still pop up, or the feedback, like the likes and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know if you guys are hearing me okay, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's dive in. We're gonna go finish up with what we're gonna be doing with that information I'm gonna send you. So we kind of talked today about where these triggers and cravings can come from. Again, I shared my particular triggers of like emotional difficulty growing up, where I felt lonely, I felt scared, and that was a pattern that developed from when my brother was going through leukemia, and I felt really just like, I was 10 years old, I didn't understand everything, and it became a way of comforting myself. We would have people bringing over meals for our family because my mom was with my brother in the ICU in another city, you know, and so we were having meals brought in from our church, and they would often have like desserts or pasta and all this stuff, and I was homeschooled, I was by myself, and so like I would eat those things as comfort. So that was kind of the starting point. So like this pattern developed, right? Like I turn to food when I'm feeling that stress, and it could be even good stress too. I've realized like I can be kind of like overly excited or wired and like happy, but it's just like I don't know what to do with this those feelings, and so it's like food, you know, can feel like that's the solution. That's been the pattern, and so that was my pattern that I reverted to back in college. And so, you know, like I want you, for the homework tonight, on this cheat sheet I'm going to send you, I'm going to give you some questions to kind of go through in a journaling exercise. You know, I don't want you to take more than 15, 30 minutes. Like I want 30 minutes max. I know you guys are busy. But I really think it's important to not just listen to what I'm telling you. What's been effective for me, again, since I was pregnant and had my son, the last 6 years, I was starting to do the work and starting to put the pieces together when I moved to Argentina in 2011. That's when I really started to do the work and move from awareness to action. So I really encourage you to do the assignments, your homework I'm going to send out. And the reason being is it's going to take you from information and awareness to action. And so taking a few minutes to journal on the burden of these cravings that have been on your life. Like, how is it really, like, get specific. How has this distraction with food, with stress eating, with emotional cravings, how has it really impacted your life in terms of time wasted, energy wasted, where you feel like shit the next day, in terms of you maybe dealing with health issues from being overweight and having consequences, you know, in the sense of like maybe physical discomfort in your joints, or having to deal with maybe diabetes or obesity, whatever it is. Like, get specific for you. Maybe in your feelings of yourself and your relationships with others, how has it affected you? How have you felt isolated from it, where maybe you're sneaking food and that feels like you're hiding something, or you're not connected to others? Really get specific on your burden that has, and just like let it out. And you know, it helps. And some people love to like get in a cozy spot, light a candle, make a cup of tea, maybe put on some nice music, and just really open up. Let yourself kind of release and get a pen to paper and just go without editing yourself for 5 to 10 minutes on that burden. And then just take another, and then the other questions are going to kind of dive into a little bit more into your triggers. Like, what are some maybe stories, specific things that have happened in your life? Like mine was when my brother had leukemia, maybe in college when I was really stressed about internship applications, and those kind of triggered things. When I moved to Chicago and was just starting a new job and living on my own for the first time, those were things that were specific triggers. And how you can maybe anticipate those things when they start to come up so that you can take care of yourself better instead of letting them override you and be in control of your life. You are aware of them and can kind of take care of yourself before they get out of control. So that'll be the next step. The last thing will be to take that sheet that you're journaling on and to do a little ceremony for yourself and burn it and release it. And this is something that I've done for the last 5 years or so, usually around New Year's, and I do it other times throughout the year when I'm really feeling the need to release. Like, for instance, after my dad passed away last year, I just really wanted to release that sadness. So, periodically I'll do this when I'm really feeling a lot of that heaviness and that I'm really no longer serving me, and I want to just release it out and to let go, acknowledge it, but let go of it so I can move on and make space for some other goodness to manifest in my life. So that'll be the last step, is to, in a safe space, maybe outside, not near a fire detector or a smoke detector, but in a nice fireproof bowl, that you put those papers and put a match to it and let it go, let it burn out. And thank it for the information it's giving you. Thank it for the lessons you've learned from those tough experiences, from that burden, but no longer need it. Let it go. So that's going to be the homework for tonight. And so let me know any questions about that. Even if you're watching this later, you want to email me, go for it. I want to talk to you guys. I want to be connected to you guys. Even though this is a course where I'm talking to you through the Facebook Live on this public space, reach out to me. I want to be here for you. And you can post questions on this video, of course, but also just email me, carolyn@carolynbanner.com. And if you have any problems signing up for the course, you haven't been getting the emails, let me know. We can work on that and get you connected. Because I want to make sure you're on the list too. I have a special offer for those that are just on the Control Your Cravings course, and that is for my brand new exclusive Rev and Reset program that's getting started next Monday. So you guys are going to get 20% off, access to that. Plus, you would be included in my one-on-one coaching and group support club, the Magic Makers Movement. You'd be brought into that. You kind of get a sneak preview because we don't open that up. I don't open that up to the public. But by being in this Control Your Cravings course, you would get 20% off, access to that, plus the coaching and group support. That's the magic of the Magic Makers Movement. So more information about that will be coming, but the access will only be available to those that are in the Control Your Cravings course as a thank you for you guys being participants. All right, you guys, I will be on again tomorrow at 12 noon. I feel like I have other things to share with you guys. I want to make sure I covered everything. But please join me. I mean, 12 noon Central Time, so Chicago time. And if you're watching, shoot me an email. Let me know if you watched it. Let me know if you have any questions. And let me know how the homework goes. I'm going to be sending that cheat sheet out to you with all the steps for that in just a couple hours. So look for that in your email. And know that I'm here for you, and that I know this can be kind of tough work, but it's worth it to feel the freedom, to know. I haven't really shared as much with you about the after picture. I painted the before picture really well for you, I think, about just how I felt really burdened and my story, but how it's been that time and energy that I have been kind of consumed with food and with feeling bad after binging is now directed into, now I have time into my workouts, I feel better, it's into my work, it's building Body by Banner. I've been making my own company for the last 2 years, and it's freed me up so much in just my relationships and not being so distracted by food, by feeling like I can go to any restaurant and just figure it out and not feel like I have to obsess over where I'm going or what I'm gonna order, and just feeling, I'm not controlled by food, and I have tools to help control the way I feel around food. It's not perfect. It's not going to be like a magic, I'm never going to have cravings again. I want you to understand that. It's not that kind of promise I'm offering you. I don't think that's realistic to just magically never have those cravings or emotional triggers ever again. what I want to offer you are tools so that you have relief and have things to turn to and keep working on. It's a process, and there's joy in that process because it's just like you're learning about yourself as you go, and that's a gift, right? That's what this life is about. So thanks so much for being on, and I'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon. Bye, you guys. Ciao.